This video will explain how to respond to a teaching call using the IPA system. You may have received a link via email, or you may have been instructed to go directly to ipa.ucdavis.edu. Regardless, this is what a blank teaching call form looks like. There's this table here with a single row that says Add Preference, labeled Teaching Preferences. You may or may not see this grid here labeled Unavailabilities with a Monday through Friday 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Axes. And there is a comments area here at the bottom. There's also this term selector here. You may see different terms. You may only have one term. It depends on how your department has decided to do this. But if you do see multiple terms, you can click to change the data, to change your preferences for each term. And then finally, we have a review box here, which just shows you what you've done so far. So the most basic common task that you'll need to perform on this form is to indicate your preferences for teaching. So let's go ahead and click the Add Preference button. And immediately we see a few different options. At the very top, you'll see these non-course options. This is how you indicate that you'd like to use a course release, a buyout, sabbatical, request work-life balance, and so on. Beneath that, you will see any courses that your department has already inputted into the IPA system as potentially being offered that year, and they're grouped by subject code. So in this case, we have an ANT course, we have some ECS courses. And then finally, at the very bottom, we have this Suggest a Course option, which is how you suggest courses that your department may not have entered into IPA. This is a good way to suggest, say, one of those 99 course-numbered seminars, for instance. But I'm just going to go ahead and do a very common task. I'm going to select one of the courses that I taught last year. And as I click it, you'll see it appears here on the form. I'll go ahead and select another one. And you'll see after a moment it appears on the form. I can remove this preference if I made a mistake by clicking the Remove button, and it's going to ask me if I'm sure. I'm going to hit Cancel. It tells me how many seats my department currently plans for that course, so that's very nice for me to know. And then I also have priorities over here on the left. So if ECS 30 in this case, which is at number 2, is actually my first priority, I can just click this up arrow and make it my number 1 preference. Adding the non-course options works exactly the same. So if you want to indicate a buyout, for example, just click it and you'll see it's there. You can also remove, reorder. And then finally, if I wanted to suggest a course not on the list, I'll go to the bottom here, I'll click Suggest a Course, and you'll see this new menu pops up. And we can search for a course in a number of ways. I like to do subject code and then course number, so I'm going to suggest that I teach History 10. And you'll see I put O10 because that's typically how the registrar lists it. And you'll see I click it, and there we go. Now, one thing I'd like to show you is this blue bar here. If you see this, you'll notice there's nothing we can do about it. There's no remove button, there's no preference. I can't do anything about it. What this is telling me is that this is a preference which has been confirmed by the department. So the department has already seen this preference and they've said, yes, as of right now, our teaching plan is that you will teach that. So the reason you can't remove that is because the department is expecting you to teach that now. And if you want to be able to remove that, you're going to need to contact your department and tell them, hey, actually, I don't intend on teaching ECS 10. Can you unconfirm that preference in IPA? And once they unconfirm it, you'll see it'll appear like these regular black and white rows with the remove button, and you'll be able to remove it. You may not see any of these blue rows. It just depends on when you log in. And whether your department has done some work before you. If you see the unavailability grid here, which you may not, it's up to the department, you'll see it goes from Monday through Friday across the top, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. And what this is it's asking you for your unavailabilities. So what are the times that you're not available? And the way that we can do this is we can go ahead and we can click on each individual box. To indicate, in this case, throughout the entire week, we are not available before 8 a.m. You can also click and hold to sort of paint these boxes. So now in this case, I'm indicating that I am not available at all Monday through Friday until 10 a.m. And then let's say I want to block out all of Monday, well, I can do that as well. And you'll notice after a moment it'll say that it's saved over here. This form saves as we go, so you don't have to worry about that. Finally, at the bottom, if there are any comments that you need to leave, which is very typical, things that are not captured in any of the form controls above, you can go ahead and just list them here. You know, I'll need a projector for ECS 10 every other week, something like that. Last, don't forget that you may have to repeat this entire process if there's another term over here that you're being asked for. So if I click over to winter or spring, you'll see the form appears to reset with the exception of the comments. The comments go across all terms. And so we'll have to fill this out again. What are our preferences for spring? What are our unavailabilities for spring? You'll see if I click back into fall, everything I already did is still there. And then finally, when we're done, we can kind of see this review. This review lets us know that we have done some things and not others. If we're done, we can go ahead and click Submit, hit Confirm, and you'll see it just kind of bounces us back to the main instructor page. If you have any questions, concerns, ideas for improvement, or run into trouble, please feel free to email the IPA team. You can do that by emailing ipahelp@ucdavis.edu.